You know exactly who I'm talking about. You haven't texted them in 4 months. Maybe 5. There's been no check-in, no meme sent at midnight, no, hey, thinking of you. And yet, when something actually falls apart in your life, they are the first person you call. And they pick up. And it feels like no time has passed at all. That specific kind of friendship confuses people. It gets labeled as lazy, or one-sided, or convenient. But there's something else going on here, something that has a lot more to do with how attachment actually works than most people realize. Let's start with what closeness is actually made of. Most people operate with an implicit assumption that intimacy is proportional to contact frequency. The more you text, the closer you are. The longer the gap, the more the relationship has faded. It's tidy logic. It's also not really how the brain works. Psychologist John Bowlby, who spent decades building what we now call attachment theory, was interested in a specific question: what makes a bond feel secure? And the answer he kept arriving at wasn't frequency. It was predictability. The sense that when you reach out, something real will be there. That the connection doesn't require constant maintenance to remain intact. There are people for whom silence is genuinely neutral. It doesn't accumulate as neglect, it doesn't register as distance. They can go weeks without contact and feel no erosion in how they hold the relationship. Psychologists sometimes call this a secure attachment orientation, and one of its quieter features is that it doesn't need external reassurance to stay intact. The internal representation of the relationship just holds. And then there's a concept worth knowing called relationship maintenance, which researchers use to describe the behaviors people use to keep relationships alive. Texting. Checking in. Keeping each other updated. The conventional version of closeness. People who score high on what researchers call low-maintenance friendship orientation don't actually do less of this because they care less. They do less of it because they don't experience the gap as something that needs to be filled. Now here is where it gets a little uncomfortable, because there are two very different kinds of people who look identical from the outside. The first is the person who is genuinely, securely attached, who trusts the relationship so completely that they don't feel anxious in its silence. They're not avoiding, they're not withholding, they are just fine. And when you come back to them, they are fully present, genuinely interested, picking up exactly where things left off. The second is the person who learned very early that needing people came with a cost. That reaching out meant risking something, that depending on someone made you vulnerable in ways that weren't always safe. And so they stopped initiating. Not because the connection didn't matter, but because something in their nervous system decided, a long time ago, that waiting was safer than wanting. Both people appear the same long silences. Same warmth when contact finally happens. Completely different internal experience. The distinction matters because one of these people is resting inside the relationship. The other is hiding inside it. There's also something worth saying about what actually holds these friendships together when contact is so infrequent. Researchers studying long-term friendship have found that what people describe as the glue in low-maintenance relationships isn't history exactly, though history matters. It's a more specific thing, the sense of being deeply known without performance. You don't have to catch them up, you don't have to manage their impression of you, you can just be exactly where you are right now, and that's enough. That's a genuinely rare thing. A lot of friendships require a kind of ongoing upkeep of your self-presentation. The version of you they know needs regular updating or it starts to feel misaligned, but certain relationships have this quality where the core of who you are is what they hold, not the current details. And those relationships can survive years of silence because what they're built on doesn't expire. If you're the one who never initiates but always shows up, there's a version of this where you should probably sit with the question of why. Because there's a difference between trusting a relationship enough to let it breathe and using silence as a way of staying safe. Only you actually know which one it is. And if you're the one who keeps reaching out to someone who never initiates back, this is worth sitting with too, because the question isn't really whether they care. The question is whether this particular dynamic is actually working for you. Whether the warmth you get when you're finally in the same room is enough to balance what it costs you in the in-between. Some friendships are built for daily contact. They're living things that need regular tending. Others are more like certain plants, low water, indirect light, somehow still there. Neither is inherently better. But knowing which kind of friendship you're actually in, that changes how you carry it. The friends who never reach out but are always there, they're not a mystery, they're just people whose attachment to you lives somewhere quieter than a message thread. And for certain people, in certain seasons of life, that's not a consolation prize. That's exactly what they needed.
Share! Like! Subscribe!